60. Emotion and action. 1. Emotion.
She watched the demolition of the building with mixed emotions.
Boost.
The government must present a plan to boost the economy immediately. They hoped the new policy would be a major boost to the economy.
Heighten.
Smoking heightens the risk of lung cancer.
Instinct.
His instincts told him that something was wrong.
Motivation.
It was hard for the FBI agent to find out what the killer's real motivation was.
Stimulus.
The coffee was the stimulus that helped him study all night.
Sentimental.
The old doll had great sentimental value for the little girl. Her poems were once popular, but later criticized as too sentimental.
Attitude.
It's difficult to change people's attitudes.
Subjective.
I think your view is highly subjective and lacks evidence.
Objective.
He achieved his objective successfully as the president of the company. The teachers should be objective when they give grades to students.
Objection.
If there is no objection, the plan will be carried out as soon as possible.
Consensus.
They failed to reach a consensus on how to develop the industrial complex.
Approve.
Even though her parents objected to the marriage at first, they later approved of it.
Disapprove.
I disapprove of diets. It is better to exercise regularly.
Consent.
Why did you drive my car without my consent? At first, her parents disapproved of the marriage, but they later consented to it.
Dissent.
The monarch wouldn't allow any voice of dissent to delay the wedding. The monarch wouldn't allow any dissenting voice to delay the wedding.
Mock.
Please stop mocking the foreigners. It's really rude.
Rude.
She is a kind old lady. Why should you be so rude to her?
Ridicule.
The politician's scandal made him an object of ridicule everywhere he went. His idea that humans could fly was ridiculed.
Make fun of.
She made fun of him by mocking his speech.
Aggressive.
The computer company plans an aggressive marketing campaign.
Arrogant.
He had no friends because he was arrogant.
Confuse.
I am totally confused. I don't understand what he means at all.
Frown.
She frowned at him, clearly annoyed by his behavior. The frown on her face showed how angry she was.
Shrug.
He shrugged his shoulders and turned away, trying to ignore their complaints. She gave a shrug and didn't answer the question.
Scratch.
I am sorry. I have scratched your car. The injury was not serious. It was only a scratch.
Funeral.
Hundreds of mourners attended his funeral.
Mourn.
In the morning, they gathered to mourn for their late president.
Cemetery.
He was buried in a cemetery, and his grave was marked by a stone cross.
Weep.
He lost control of his feelings and wept bitterly.
Shed.
It was boiling hot, and the workers shed a lot of sweat. The trees shed their leaves in fall when it gets chilly.
Burst.
The driver lost control when a tire burst on the icy road. Warm breakfast gave him a burst of energy after the chilly night.
Tomb.
The ancient tomb has beautiful paintings all around the walls. Words in context. The coach wanted to boost or heighten the athletic skills of his players. He instinctively knew they needed motivation or stimulus. Some of them had emotional or sentimental attitudes to the sport, and emotion was a very subjective matter. He needed their consensus, otherwise he would risk some objection. He discussed how to improve their skills with the athletes. He told them his objective. Some approved and consented to it, but others disapproved and dissented. Finally, they agreed to balance personal and team training, which no one objected to. After hard training, the team had a match with another team. A lot of fans gathered and cheered for the two teams. The fans mocked and ridiculed each other. They made fun of the other team's players. And they got gradually aggressive. When a player made an arrogant gesture, they started to fight. At the confusion, most fans just frowned or shrugged and scratched their heads. When the confusion settled down, 2 fans were killed. At their funeral, the fans gathered and mourned. The dead were buried side by side at a cemetery. Some fans wept and shed tears or even burst into tears. The mournful fans kept visiting their tombs and put flowers near the tombstones.